Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada, you know we love you in Africa, the Big C tribe, but there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free, in the home of the brave, on a beautiful September 28th, 2018, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, I almost feel like the OJs from the old days talking about, thank God it's Friday. But I did get paid. I guess I got to get a job for that. So I guess living for the weekend is kind of out.
Yeah, it kind of makes a difference, Big C, when you're living for the weekend. Speaking of living for the weekend, a lot of things happening in the sports universe. Whether you're dealing with sports or politics, it's all fair in love and war. A lot of good things happening. We love calling it Big C Sports Friday Night Lights, our high school football special that we always do, paying homage to the high school football players all over this great country. And it was last week we had one of the biggest games that's happened in the history of high school football in Southern California. We'll talk about that. Also, the FedEx Cup, them good old boys from the United States of America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, playing them good old boys from across the pond in Europe. But I want to say to all the good people, today's segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And if you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Big C, I know the weather's been kind of up and down, tossing that boat around down south. Are you hanging on tight, Big C? Your thoughts?
Charlton, I got my non-skid surface on. I got my 2 life jackets wrapped around me because one wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
You know, and I got to look in the water. Fish are biting any type of weather.
Yeah,
so you put something down there with a little fat on it, Charlton, and they'll enjoy themselves.
They tend to always enjoy themselves. Speaking of enjoying themselves, we always want to talk about things that are real in the world of the sports universe. And I just want to start out by saying there's so many people that I talk to that are paying attention to sports, but not only to sports, they're talking about what's happening in the world of Washington, D.C., and I think it's like the Red Wedding. There's just a lot going on with Kavanaugh, and everybody deciding, do we trust women or do we tell women they really don't count? I'm glad to see that POTUS actually pushed things off a week just to let the FBI come in and ask some questions. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he really didn't push things off. He was backed into a corner because he said he wasn't going to ask the FBI to investigate until the Honorable Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona said,
yeah.
You know, I think we should do justice to America. What's the rush? Let America find out. Let the FBI investigate this. And that's only right, Charlton. You're talking about a lifetime appointment. This was a job interview. This wasn't a trial. This is a job interview.
Yeah.
And you ask yourself as an American, if you go into a job interview and you're asked direct questions and you want to defer to somebody else and tell them to ask somebody else, do you think that you should get that job or even deserve that job? We're not talking about, Democrat versus Republican here. We're talking about job interview. And you need to be forthright and honest in doing this. And ask yourself, and I don't care how old you are, can you call 64 people right now that you went to high school with and they'll vouch for you? They know every bit about your character. Not that you're out of high school a year ago,
right,
5 years ago, 10 years ago. We're talking 38 years ago. That you can find 64 people that will vouch for your everyday character in every event that you ever did. That right there tells you that, this guy is inaccurate. And he's a judge. He's going to be overseeing the lives of Americans. And so when the president said that he will, enact this FBI investigation because he was backed into a corner, Charlton, not that he did it willingly, but even more so, here's, when you think about Judge Kavanaugh, here's somebody who's been controlling lives for decades, okay? Of human beings, of American citizens. And, when someone doesn't want to answer a question in his court, he wants to admonish them. You think about that. He wants to sanction them. But he refused to answer the questions. He doesn't hold himself under that same jurisprudence, Charles.
Yeah.
Of having to answer questions under oath.
Well, I tell you what, Big C, I just want to say today we got to celebrate all of our grandparents. On Sunday, it's actually called National Grandparents Day. So all the grandparents out there in the universe that follow Big C Sports, and even if you only watch soap operas, Big C, I know your dog was watching soap opera. Is that why your dog ran away? You cut off the soap opera cable supply because now you're going streaming over the top. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I think part of the reason him leaving it, and I want to thank you for the grandparents day, because I became a grandparent.
Yeah.
He realized I cared about somebody more than I cared about him also, Charles.
Yeah.
Because now he had to compete. And, you know, it's great when you have a dog and a little infant in the house at the same time, Charles.
Yeah.
I'm serious. You want to talk about one of the greatest relationships there ever is.
Yeah.
When you have a young child and a dog,
Yeah.
and every parent out there can attest to that that's been in that situation. The relationship that dog develops with that child becoming that instant caregiver, Charlton, because they automatically think that child belongs to them.
Yeah.
If they protect that child at all costs and at any means, Charlton, they will get between you when you want to pick that child up. So wait, hold it, you didn't ask me. You walking around with the kid, they're walking around following you, talking about don't make a bad step.
Right.
So when the dog got put out on the porch when the grandkid came, Charlton, he's like, hold it, wait a minute. I can go find a better situation than this.
Yes, that's funny. So for all the women, and really for all the sports programs, not only in the United States, but all the sports programs in the universe, everybody's watching the United States of America, like the Red Wedding. Supposed to be something great, but it's really disastrous. Right now we have our nation's leaders. It's a similar moment for women because a lot of the times women have never really been believed, Big C. And when you find that, I think about what Flake did. He was going to give him his endorsement at first. But this is what we always say. Just tell the truth. Some women actually approached him in an elevator. And she was speaking the truth. She wasn't reading from a teleprompter like a lot of sports programs do. She spoke from the heart. And I think even he caught some consciousness. Because as we celebrate National Grandparents Day, especially as African American, my grandparents grew up in Jim Crow. Even though they loved this country, they did everything they could to raise a great family. They taught us to love God. They taught us to treat your fellow man with respect. They still had the indignity of having colored drinking fountains and colored restrooms. And they couldn't even stay in any hotel they wanted to. I'm talking about grandparents, especially for those who have grandparents of color. They know the pain that led them to experience. Not because they wanted to, but it was mainstream that said that all men and women are not created equal. So I want to pay homage to our grandparents because they always taught us about God. And in God, there's no partiality in Christ. So they taught us to worship God and have a love for God. So that way we had something to hold on to when we had such enmity from our country. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I want to go back to that point about Senator Jeff Flake. When the two ladies cornered him in the elevator, these were survivors of sexual assault.
Yeah.
And they told him that they mattered, their votes mattered, and that he had to listen, which was a watershed moment, Charlton. If we go back earlier, and the president says that he always believes sex offenders. You remember when he backed Roy Moore, who was running for Senate in the state of Alabama several months ago, Charlton?
Yeah.
He said he believed Roy Moore and not the dozen or so women that came forth and said that he sexually assaulted them or acted inappropriate with them when they were teenagers.
Yeah.
He said, you can't believe these women. Because look how many times I've been accused and paid people off. So you can't believe people.
Yep.
Especially women.
Yeah.
If you pay them off, they should be silent.
Yep.
That's what the president has said.
Well,
and even in this situation here, Charlton, he looked at the same scenario with Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Not that many women are going to come forth, Charlton, and something did not happen inappropriate. And I think it's the fiduciary duty of these senators. Since you're serving the American public, you're not serving Judge Kavanaugh.
Nope.
You're serving the American public. I think they're the ones who voted you in the office. And when you look out there and start to say, especially in this Me Too time, Charlton, that women don't matter, what they say don't matter. And if you go back 30, 40 years in American society, what voice did women have in politics? What voice did they have in law enforcement, Charlton? What voice did they have in society? A woman comes forth 30 years ago, Charlton, 40 years ago, she's scorned forever in life.
Yeah.
She can't get a job. She can't live in the town that she was growing up in. her family, her parents are going to be embarrassed. Everybody is going to attack her.
Yep.
Because, that old analogy, well, it's just boys being boys.
Yeah.
That's what it's always going to say. It's just like the president said, well, it's locker room talk. That's how athletes talk.
No.
That's what the president said, which was untrue. That's why, but then he wants to go say fire the SOBs.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
But people make things convenient for what they want to make it convenient.
Yep.
When they want to abuse a woman and say, well, hey, she had been drinking, she don't recall everything. But I recall everything, even though I was a noted drunk when I was in school.
Yeah.
I recall everything. I have a vivid memory. She wasn't drinking, but I was. I'm in books, throwing up, passing out.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't me. And then I looked at this question that he was asked by one of the senators, Charlton.
Yeah.
And they asked him, what is too much to drink? When have you consumed too much alcohol? And his answer was, Charlton, well, when you reach the legal limit. Okay, I guess every American who has a drink walks around with a breathalyzer, Charlton.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think because National Grandparents' Day, and I really want to say to all the beautiful grandmothers out there that have been surrogate parents for a lot of their grandkids. Sometimes they were there because they wanted to be, and some had to be because the parents couldn't be there for whatever reason. And this is really a plea for people, as we always say, sports talk is real sports talk. There are a lot of mothers and grandmothers that actually take their kids and grandkids to sporting events. They take their kids and grandkids to country clubs, or they take them to the park, or they do whatever they can to participate in their lives. Now, if we don't stand up for what our grandparents did, whether you're black or white, if you're a white grandparent, you probably never had to worry about colored drinking fountains, or what restroom you went to use when you had to go to the restroom. You just walked in the one that says white. You never had to worry about which hotel you wanted to rent because you got treated with the best treatment possible. So for especially women of color who threw that indignity, and it reminds me of how women are being treated today in the White House. They're being told, you don't count. And just to shout them down, I'm proud of women standing up on National Grandparents' Day. I want to say to my grandparents, I just appreciate everything they did, from feeding me food to changing my diaper and making sure I felt safe when I felt sick, and all that good old boy stuff that we loved as kids, and sometimes we don't tell them how much we appreciate them. Big C, your thoughts on what your grandparents meant to you, your thoughts?
Well, my grandparents meant the world to me, Charlton, when I was growing up. I spent most of my young years with my grandparents prior to attending school because both of my parents worked. My grandfather would come by and pick me up every morning once I had become potty trained, Charlton, and I hung out with him. And for years, I thought he was my dad.
Yeah.
And our relationship maintained that way through the rest of his life, Charlton, is that he introduced me as his boy to everybody.
Yeah.
Even as an adult, Charlton, as I was growing up, that I could be with my dad, and he would say, this is my boy, this is my son, and this is my boy.
Yep.
And people looking at him, but he would call, my dad his son, but I was his boy.
Yeah.
But, that relationship you have is such a kindred thing, Charlton. It's just like, when you talk about your parents before they become grandparents.
Yeah.
To have the joy of having your parents attend events with you, Charlton. High school events, junior high events, Charlton, grammar school events.
Yeah.
Sporting events as you grow up. Your parents attend those with you, Charlton. Then all of a sudden you have children. Your parents forget about you when they become grandparents.
Yeah,
I think they become senile. I'm just going to go on the record saying you become senile when you become grandparents. Love you, but you become senile. Because all of a sudden, I remember every time I would call my dad or see my dad, it was like, how you doing?
Yeah.
How's the grandbaby?
Yeah.
It's like I just walked in here. I flew us here.
Yeah.
And you asking about them. They don't even pay bills.
Yeah.
They're leeches. They're freeloaders. And you're concerned about them. You're not asking about me.
Yes.
You're asking about them. Well, they babies. They walking, talking, and driving. Okay.
Yeah.
They're not babies. They're asking for money. They're not babies. But that's what grandparents do.
Yeah.
Grandparents were put on this earth, Charlton, to make parents' life miserable. Think about it. I know my oldest son, when I would take him to his grandparents' house, my mother wouldn't cook one day he was at the house. Everybody looking at him, well, he want to go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Okay? He want to go to McDonald's.
Right.
There was one time I wanted to beat my son up. I'm not going to lie. I done cooked dinner and everything. We all sit down to eat. And, all of a sudden, I want Ronald McDonald.
Yep.
And everybody looking at him at the table. And it's like, well, Nana would take me.
Yeah.
You know, well, Nana don't live here.
Yeah.
You know what he did after dinner?
What's that?
He snuck in and got on the phone and called Nana. Said I would take him to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Why was so bad? He called me. Talking about why would I take that baby to McDonald's? I'm like, if he's a baby, how does he know your phone number and calling you?
That's funny. So for all those stories that you have for grandparents, just tell them. Tell them while you get the chance to tell them that you love them. And because it's so important, sometimes people don't do that. So for all the things going on in the White House, National Grandparents Day, if you stand up for people, you stand up for right, you stand up for things that your grandparents had to go through, but they had no recourse. Today we have recourse. It's called Stand Up For Yourself. Big C, I do want to pay homage to our Friday night Big C Sports Friday Night Lights Prep Football, some of the top 10 football programs in the United States of America. Number 1, St. John Bosco of Bellflower, California. Number 2, Mater Dei of Santa Ana. They had a really big win last week over IMG Academy out of Florida, which was ranked number 1 in the country at the time, according to which polls. And they had a 40-game win streak. That was snapped by Mater Dei. Number 3, Allen, Texas. Number 4, St. John's of Washington, D.C. Give me your thoughts on, when you think about St. John's, there's a basketball program from the East, but they also have a good high school program also called St. John's. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the first thing come to your mind is Louis Kahn II. Great coach at St. John's University in New York, Charlton. Part of that Big East, had a great rivalry with John Thompson and Georgetown, with Villanova, Charlton. Those schools, Jim Boeheim up at Syracuse. I mean, it was a cradle of basketball at that time, Charlton, and it was part of the network, the Mothership Network, main broadcasting core of college basketball.
Yeah.
But when you think about St. John's, that's what comes to mind. You think about an NCAA basketball power, Charlton, of the early and mid-'80s.
Yeah.
Also, Chris Mullin, part of Run TMC from the Golden State Warriors with Mitch Richmond and Tim Hardaway.
Yeah.
That was his alma mater, Charlton.
Yeah, he was a good old boy back in the day. Could really shoot the three. Also back to Big C Sports Friday Night Lights. Number 5, actually number 6, Miami Central out of Florida. IMG Academy moves up again. 5 and 6, depending on what polls you look at. And then, again, they had a great game against Mater Dei at Santa Ana, and they were ahead with about 1 minute to play, and Mater Dei pulled that one off. Probably the best high school football game that you'll see anywhere in the country. And then number 7, you have St. Francis Academy out of Maryland. Number 8, Lake Travis out of Texas. Number 9, Centennial Corona, California. And then number 10, De La Salle of Concord, California, Northern California Power. So that's our tribute to our Friday Night Lights Big C Sports. And I'm sure a lot of grandparents, as we talked about honoring National Grandparents Day on Sunday, I'm sure a lot of grandparents took the time to go watch them good old boys, their grandkids play football on Friday Night Lights. So we really want to say good luck to all the people playing tonight, and may you always stay safe in the world of Big C Sports. Big C, I think when sometimes you talk about things you see things that happen on TV. Do you have a cousin by the name of Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp? I'm confused. I keep hearing, I said, cousin, Big C's on TV again, talk about my cousin. Big C, who's all these cousins talk going on, Big C, your thoughts?
I've always admired Skip Bayless and all the networks that he's been on, Charlton, even back in the days when he was covering the Dallas Morning News and print, print newspaper.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting up this morning, having my coffee and stuff, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I heard Skip say to Shannon, your cousin, and I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, Skip. You're pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
I know everybody listens to our show out there, Charlton. The guys on ESPN, Fox, every network out there. And if you want to sit there and say that you don't, that's fine also. You can act like Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Brett don't think you want to be a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
But when Skip pulled that line out this morning, Charlton.
Yeah.
Now, Shannon Sharp, and Kirk Cousins nowhere near complexion. All right?
Hey, you never know.
I'm just being honest.
It's just DNA, baby.
Nowhere near complexion. Where the heck was Skip going to come up with that line other than listening to Charlton and Big C? And your cousin, saying that to his co-host.
Yeah.
Cousin. And that's a line that you and I have utilized, Charlton, ever since your cousin was playing back in Washington. All right?
He's not my cousin. Yep. I thought that was funny.
And also, that's the same response as Shannon. Well, he's not my cousin. He might be 3 or 4, but he's not my cousin.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's like plagiarism is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, because it's what makes media and print and everything else go around, Charlton.
Yep.
People are utilizing the same material.
Yeah.
But to take some original material like that, Charlton, and try to make your own, that would be like me trying to go out and steal Chris Berman. Back. Wait.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go out there and go after Chris Berman.
Yeah.
You know, Boomer's a genius.
Yeah.
But you know, for Skip Bayless to walk out there and saying that he originated your cousin.
Yeah.
Come on, buddy. Give us a little credit for what you're giving up.
And just like we say, Google it, you know, even just pulling up things that people that I admired over the years, you just say their name. It's called a footnote. When you write papers, you footnote where things come from. And so that's what we do at Big C Sports. It's okay. Again, watching the FedEx Cup, even over across the pond, there are people saying their slogan on the Golf Channel, all's fair in love and golf. I think they've heard all's fair in love and war on Big C Sports, but it's okay. You Google it. You know who said it first. Big C, speaking of your cousin, last night, Southern California, #2 media market in the country. Supposedly there are about 15 million people in the Los Angeles basin. That's a lot of people on all the subways they have down there. And when you think about passing lanes, they have these passing lanes on Southern California highways, where there's the 405, the I-5, the 10, or many of the other expressways that run through Southern California. But Kirk Cousins last night, I think he threw the ball about 50 times, and he still got outperformed by Goff, who threw the ball less than that but had more yardage and more touchdowns. Your thoughts on Kirk Cousins, Big C? Yeah, he is your cousin, Big C, right?
Kurt, I mean, you know, what can you say about Kurt? Kurt's priceless. And I'm serious, he's priceless.
Yeah.
$84 million worth.
I'll take it.
You know, here's a guy, if not for being hosed by the referees, the Green Bay Packers, Charlton, the Minnesota Vikings right now would be what, 1-3?
Yep.
1-3, that's what they would be if not being hosed on that penalty against Clay Matthews, because that wasn't a penalty. Everybody knows.
Oh, everybody knows that. Yeah.
But he, in this scenario, I mean, Kirk Cousins played a marvelous game last night to a degree.
Yeah.
But he didn't play well enough to win the game, Charlton. You think about that. You're on the biggest stage you are. And for all of those who say that the ratings are going down, the president and all the people at Fox News,
Fake
Fox
news.
covered the game last night. Okay?
Yep.
The highest rated game of the season thus far in the NFL, Charlton.
Wow.
This is on Fox. But Fox is telling everybody, their news channel, that, the NFL ratings are way down along with the president.
Wow.
They also, Charlton, had the highest rated preseason game this year when the Cleveland Browns played that preseason game.
Yeah.
And it was the highest rated preseason game. But when you look at this game last night, Charlton, that now what's the excuse for Kirk Cousins? Now everybody saying, well, the defense in Minnesota's bad. You know, that's the news story.
Yeah.
Is that when you're making $84 million, Charlton, you outdo the guy on the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
You look at this. Jared Goff was the #1 draft pick 3 years ago, Charlton, in the NFL.
Yep.
When he had Jeff Fisher as his coach, he couldn't play.
That's true.
He threw 5 touchdowns and 7 interceptions.
Yeah.
While Jeff Fisher was his coach, and he was benched.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden he got McVay, Charlton. He threw 5 touchdowns alone last night.
Yeah.
Last night, 5 touchdowns alone. So when they're saying that this guy cannot compete, Charlton, they got it all wrong. And so the money is being paid on the wrong side of the table when you really look at it in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because there was 3 throws last night, Charlton. I mean, the first touchdown that Cousins threw, your cousin,
He's
was
not
an
my cousin.
outstanding pass, Charlton, in the corner of the end zone.
Yeah.
But then Jared Goff come back and said, let me 3-up you.
Yep.
He threw 3 passes last night for touchdowns, Charlton, that you said, can I get a replay?
Yep.
I mean, that's what it was. Can I get a replay? Because I didn't see what I just saw.
Can I get an amen?
The first one he dropped to Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
But you know, when you look at what the NFL is now, Charlton, you've given Kirk Cousins every opportunity and every reason to win.
Yeah.
You got rid of 2 quarterbacks
playoff guys.
Took you to the playoffs.
Yep.
Took you to the playoffs in consecutive years, not passes or every other. Bridgewater missed the year before.
Yeah.
But you know, they took them to the playoffs, Charlton. They both had winning records. You go out and hire a guy, Charlton, that had not won, did not have a winning record, and said he gave you the best chance of getting there versus the guys who had you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
and it's falling short.
Yeah.
It wasn't their fault, Charlton, but now it's the defense's fault. Where before it was Bridgewater and Keenum's fault.
Yep.
That the Vikings didn't advance in the playoffs. Now you're passing it off to the defense.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It's their fault.
It's a shame.
It's amazing how the media that looks like the quarterback wants to cover for the quarterback, Charles.
Yeah, they've been covering. He's now, as a pro quarterback, 27-32, and 2 times making $84 million. Guaranteed. That's a lot of money. But we'll cover more of that. We'll cover that as we get back to the world of the NFL. But right now, Big C, there's a lot of good things happening in college football coming up over the weekend. I think a lot of people at Penn State, they're already camping out. They're saying there are people camping out at Penn State even on Tuesday. So they have that big game coming up tomorrow against Ohio State. It's a game that's really going to decide, or it may not decide who's going to win the Big Ten, because there are a lot of good programs in that Big Ten conference. But just seeing that they're going to have the whiteout, they're going to have a lot of people jazzed up about it. Ohio State ranked number 4. They're 4-0 at number 9. Penn State 4-0. That's a 7:30 kickoff on ABC Sports. And Ohio State is favored by 3. I'm not feeling so comfortable about that, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you talked about the kids camping out on campus. One of the greatest things about camping out on campus at Penn State, so you're not going to class.
Yeah.
But it also lets you get in the front of the line at the creamery, because they give you free ice cream.
Oh, really?
On campus at Penn State. They make their own brand of ice cream there at Penn State University. So that's your nutrition while you're camping out for a football game.
Yeah.
See, I couldn't have made it there. I'd have went from being a diminutive defensive lineman to a huge hulking offensive tackle.
Yeah.
in a matter of a couple of years.
Yeah.
Pre-steroids, so.
Yep.
That's one of the pluses. But when you look at the landscape of this game in college football this weekend, Charlton, the winner of this game over the last 2 seasons has gone on to win the Big Ten title.
Yeah.
But even more so, what's egregious about that, Charlton, Penn State won this game 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They didn't even make the college football playoff. Ohio State did.
Yep.
So when you look at that, Charlton, and you want to think about the fairness of the college football playoff, Charlton, how do you win the Big Ten Conference? And the way the bylaws was written, the conference champion would go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Big Ten, Penn State won the championship. It was denied. They went to the Rose Bowl, had a fabulous shootout against USC and Sam Darnold. That was his coming out party, Charlton.
Yep.
But the winner of this game is not guaranteed in the past of making college football playoffs.
No, not at all.
So that's what you look at. I mean, you will eliminate one of the teams, but it's not guaranteed that you will make it.
Not guaranteed.
I like where Penn State is, Charlton. They're coming into this game, I believe they're averaging about 57 points a game, leading the nation.
Yeah.
In scoring. So they have a high-powered offense, an excellent senior quarterback, Charlton. And so, but when you look at Ohio State and Haskins, in my mind, he's one of the top 3 players in the country when it comes to Heisman balloting, Charlton. This guy, we talk about Patrick Mahomes. Right now, he's the Patrick Mahomes of college football. I know Tua gets a lot of pub at Alabama because of what Alabama is.
Yeah.
But when you look at this kid Haskins, Charlton, who has walked in and taken over the Big Ten, just dominated, and they played a tougher competition than what Alabama has, Charlton.
Yep.
He has all the tools. He has the same receiving core that they had at Ohio State last year, Charlton.
Yeah.
But this Ohio State now, all these receiving core look like they're all high draft picks in the NFL because of the change in quarterback.
Yeah,
so
they do.
I'm going to give the advantage to Ohio State over Penn State and McSorley, Charlton. It's going to be a gangbuster. It's going to be a whiteout game. It's going to be an exciting game. It's going to be all of what college football is all about.
All of what college football is all about. A couple more games we'll hit before we get on to the NFL. Number 7, Stanford 4-0 at number 8. Notre Dame also 4-0. A 7:30 kickoff on NBC Sports. Notre Dame's favored by 5. I think last time Stanford was back there, they were robbed on the goal line. I know touchdown Jesus and all is there for the Notre Dame fans. But if you're going to pray, if you stand in front of Christ, you're supposed to say, Christ, I've sinned, please forgive me. And I don't think Notre Dame ever asked for forgiveness. But Stanford's going in there, probably the better passing team. Whether Love gets off or not, it's going to be Shaw versus Kelly. Big C, give me your thoughts on who has the advantage here.
Well, Notre Dame made the quarterback change last week, Doctor, when they brought in Ian Bach, who passed for about 350 yards against Wake Forest.
Yeah.
that kick-started that Notre Dame offense. Can they keep that momentum going? Because with Wimbush, that had been their Achilles heel, Charlton. They hadn't been a consistent passing team.
Yeah.
But with the insertion of the new quarterback, Charlton, it changed the dynamics of the offense completely.
Yeah.
Now, you got to look at Stanford. Will they have a hangover from that game that they pulled out in Oregon last week? You want to talk about touchdown Jesus being on somebody's side, Charlton. I mean, Stanford had a rabbit's foot, a horseshoe, and any other apparatus that you get in the uniform to bring them luck. Cold relief, and the cold relief might be in jinx, Charlton, because we know the Irish is all about the Clovers now.
Yeah,
okay?
we know
so
that.
They might take that Clover back. But, you know, when you look at Stanford, the thing that I look at is that Love hasn't gotten off this year, Charlton.
Not yet.
And if there's a game that he can get off, this is the game, the must-need game.
Yeah.
Because Stanford, they got through with horseshoes and hand grenades last week and a whole lot of luck against Oregon because they were down in that game, Charlton, and all of a sudden they came charging back and pulled out a miraculous victory. But now they got to travel across the country, Charlton, to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
A different atmosphere, Charlton. Going to be a ruckus crowd. And a team that if they get you down, they're not going to let you come back, especially in their house, like Oregon did, Charlton.
Well, Stanford definitely understands what it's like to almost have a win, and the band is out of the field. And that's what happened in the big game with Cal back in the day. And I think Oregon had this similar type of play, but there was no band on the field this time. Just a heartbreaking loss. Speaking of Oregon, number 20 Oregon, 3-1 at Cal. Berkeley, 3-0. The two Bay Area programs are actually undefeated. That's a 10:30 kickoff, so you'll be asleep, Big C, on Fox Sports 1. And actually, Oregon's favored by 2.5, which is kind of close for a team that can score so high, but it might be a little bit of a fool's goal. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, you have that hangover depression, Charlton. You know, winning teams know how to win.
Yeah.
Cal is undefeated. Oregon has to, you know, because they have a new coaching staff.
Yeah.
He didn't know how to finish the game.
Yeah.
You know, and I put all of that on the coach.
He could have taken a knee. Could have taken a knee on the last minute.
You know, you take a knee each down. You take the clock down to 2 seconds and you snap the ball.
Yeah.
That's what you do. And so I put that on the inexperience of the coaching staff. Hopefully the players have enough fortitude to come back and not be down from that game, Charlton.
Yeah.
But when you think about it from the Cal perspective, Sonny Dykes, you know, seemed to have this program this year on the right track.
Yeah.
And if he can keep it going and get Cal 4-0, they haven't done that since they had Jeff Tedford at quarterback, Charlton.
Yeah.
And they briefly reached number 1 in the country about week 7 of the season.
Yep.
About a decade ago, Charlton.
Yeah.
That would be amazing down there in Strawberry Canyon.
And they were actually playing Oregon State when they were ranked number 1 for about a few minutes, and then, you know, things went awry. And Fresno State's actually 2-1, and they're playing Toledo. That's at Bulldog Stadium in Fresno. Fresno State's favored by 8. That's a 10:30 kickoff, ESPNU. Number 15, Michigan, 3-1 at Northwestern, 1-2. A 4:30 kickoff on Fox. Michigan by 14. And you have another game that might make some shockwaves out on the West Coast. BYU 3-1 at number 11, Washington 3-1. 8:30 kickoff on Fox. Washington's favored by 17. I think that's too much. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, you talk about touchdown Jesus at Notre Dame. I think they have a little prayer going on there in BYU with all the Mormons.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things you always worry about with BYU when you're a program.
Yeah.
You have college kids on your program. BYU have grown men.
Yeah.
They honestly do. You look at the average ages at BYU roster, it's probably 22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
The average age on the roster.
Yeah.
So when you talk about an age and maturity disadvantage, I'm never shocked when BYU knocks off a big-time program, Charlton, because of the age and the maturity of their players.
Yep.
They're not going to be undoubted about going up to Washington because they went into Wisconsin and knocked off the Badgers at home, a highly favored program, Charlton.
Yeah.
So, you know, Washington's going to have to strap it up. Jake Browning hasn't played all that great.
No.
Just like Hornibrook didn't play great when Wisconsin lost to BYU.
Yeah.
BYU is riding high. They will at least cover the point spread, Charlton.
Yeah, I think they cover the point spread, especially being what they did to Wisconsin, which I think is maybe a better team than Washington, are just as good. Tennessee, 2-2 at number 3. Georgia, 4-0. That's a 3:30 kickoff, CBS Sports. Georgia's favored by 31. Your good old friends down at Alabama, ranked number 1 in the country. They have a tough schedule. Nick Saban might be sweating in his. He may have gotten less sleep than Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, you know, going into Penn State. Louisiana Lafayette goes into Alabama. They're 1-2. Alabama's 4-0. That's a noontime kickoff on the SEC network. Alabama's favored by 48. How did they get that game on TV, Big Z? 48 point spread.
Well, you think about Alabama, Charlton, this practice facility probably has more seats than Louisiana Lafayette's home stadium does, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, you always praise Alabama, you know, for having such a powerful, great program, consistent winning.
Yeah.
But when you put these cupcakes on your non-conference schedule, Charlton,
yeah.
And I understand that these schedules are made 4 and 5 years in advance based on availability. And no school wants to turn down $1.5 million payday, Charlton.
No.
Especially when you're a struggling program. You'll go in there and take that butt whipping.
Yeah.
You'll get the players demoralized, but you'll go in and take that butt whipping for financial means. And this is what we talk about in college football. They say it's about the players.
Yeah.
Are the players going to get any of that $1.5 million payday?
No.
But, you know, if you lose some players, they get injured in this game, so, oh, well, we'll get them surgery or whatever.
Yeah.
But they won't get any financial compensation.
No.
So when these universities take these unfair games, Charlton, for financial gain, this lets you know how big a plantation that the NCAA is.
Yeah.
And the exploitation of college athletes.
It definitely is exploitation. Just a couple of games that will hit the NFL tonight. UCLA 0-3. UCLA what as opposed to fight. And then they're at Colorado. Yes. Yeah.
If you were to spell out UCLA, what would that spell?
University of California, Los Angeles, Big C.
I thought it meant Upland.
Okay. Yeah, they need to play like the uppity, Big C, but they haven't been. Chip Kelly might want to give some of that money back if they can't get at least a win, but they're up against it at Colorado tonight. 3-0 is Colorado, a 9 o'clock kickoff. Fox Sports 1. Colorado's favored by 13 points. And then one more game, because I think it's important to say, with all of the talk that's happened at Clemson, Dabo Swinney trying to be fair, let his player go and live his own dreams. Syracuse is 4-0 coming into this game. Not 0-4, but 4-0. They're at number 2 Clemson, 4-0. That's a noontime kickoff, ABC Sports. Clemson favored by 25, which might be too much, but they got an undefeated team coming in there, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Dino Favors has done a marvelous job at Syracuse the last 2 years, Charlton, the head coach.
Yeah.
He has his team off to a 4-0 start. When you think about that, 4-0, you're not a slouch in a major conference in the ACC. That's where he is. You look at Clemson, Charlton. They can't take any chances. Clemson lost to Syracuse last season.
Yep.
And what you got to look at, Charlton, in this game with the quarterback with Clemson.
Yeah.
They can't afford to run him.
No.
He has to be a pure pocket passer, Charlton. They cannot afford to get him out, get him nicked, because what do you have as a backup now? Whatever you have as a backup plan, call Scott Frost in Nebraska. Ask him about when you lose your number 1 quarterback and you don't have another scholarship quarterback on the roster.
Yep.
Clemson, since the start of spring ball last year, Charlton, has had 3 quarterbacks transfer.
Wow.
There's not many college programs that walk around with 6 quarterbacks on the roster, okay?
No.
So when you think about it, you've had 3 quarterbacks transfer in a matter of 6 months. You don't have any depth at that position, Charlton, so you're starting the true freshman.
Yep.
But if he gets deemed, you better call Scott Frost and say, what do you do when you don't have a quarterback?
That's true, Big C. And speaking of that, I hope everyone has success. Stay healthy this beautiful weekend for college football. You know we'll be watching it with you also with the FedEx Cup going on. You know it's all fair in love and war, or is it all fair in love and golf? I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports, whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, or a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league. When you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you. Big C in the NFL, one of the biggest games of the year, one of the most seminal games in the East Bay. You have the Cleveland Browns at 1-1-1 coming to the Oakland Raiders at 0-3. That's the 4:05 kickoff Eastern Time Sunday on Fox Sports. The Raiders are favored by 3. I'm not surprised that they're favored by 3, but I am surprised that I think Cleveland is a better team. But we know sometimes, I saw a lot of Pulp Fiction growing up, and one of the guys by the name of Ben Rames always had a statement to make to some of the best football players out there. How did he lose, Big C? Your thoughts on the Raiders and Browns?
Well, Charlton, when you look at this game, the Raiders have been up in every game that they've played this year. Think about that. They're 0-3 and they've been up in all 3 games.
Yeah.
How do you lose? Because we just talked about Mario Cristobal, Charlton.
Yeah.
At the University of Oregon.
Yep.
Not allowing his team to win a game when they had an opportunity.
Yep.
The Raiders have been in the same place. The Cleveland Browns have been behind in 3 games this year, Charlton.
Yeah.
but they've learned how to at least win one and tie one.
Yeah.
Something that the Raiders have not done, but their coach keeps getting a pass.
Yeah.
Because he's not doing any wrong. They don't have the talent. But this is a guy, Charlton, who got rid of 28 players from the previous year.
Yeah.
But they don't have the talent.
Yeah.
They don't have the pass rush.
Yeah.
All of these things, there's excuses that come about from the media for the guy that looks like them all the time.
Yeah.
If he looks like me, let me cover for him. Hugh Jackson, who's covering for Hugh Jackson? Everybody's been talking about since the beginning of the year. If Hugh Jackson doesn't win, he's gone. He's out of here.
Yeah.
Think about that. You're telling the minority coaches in the NFL if they don't have a winning season that they're gone.
Yeah.
That means you gotta fire 12 white coaches every year in the NFL, Charlton.
Yeah.
Every year you gotta fire 12 white coaches if they got treated like the black coaches.
Well, I want to.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish your point, Big C.
Baker Mayfield played with house money last week.
Yeah.
You know, when he came into the game and, right before halftime, when Tyrod Taylor went down. When you look at Carr in Oakland, Charlton, he probably played the best game he's played in 2 years.
Yeah.
In the past 2 years, he played the best game he could and still could not win.
Yeah, they don't have a pass rush.
Defense, Charlton,
yeah.
They can't develop a pass rush, yet you let one of the elite pass rushers in the NFL go because you said the team wasn't any good with him on there. And now you go 0-3. And I don't recall what Oakland's Raiders record was last year, but I don't think that they began 0-3, Charles.
No, they didn't. I thought letting go of Jack Del Rio is looking like a really bad thing. But you just brought up something I want to touch on because I think it's fair. Because all we say is Google it, and we want to point out the facts so that people can Google for their own eyes. Mike Tomlin, some people are saying that he's under the hot seat because they say maybe he's lost his locker room. No, he hasn't lost his locker room. But I want to compare something. And people can pull out their phones and you can hit that blue G. It's called Google. Just look at some numbers. Mike Tomlin's been around a long time. About $7 million a year is its income. Gruden's been around a long time too. $100 million contract. When you look at their career, Gruden's 95-81. But 17 of those wins came with Tony Dungy's players, that team that went on to the Super Bowl the final year, because they had lost at the Rams earlier the season before. They replaced him with Tony Dungy. Got fired. They brought in Gruden. They went to the Super Bowl. If you take away Tony Dungy's players that helped Gruden win the Super Bowl that year in Tampa, he's really 78 wins and 84 losses. And you can Google that. His playoff record is 5-4. But 3 of those playoff wins came with Tony Dungy's players the year they won the Super Bowl. You can Google that. Let's look at Mike Tomlin for people that want to say which coach deserves $100 million and which doesn't. Mike Tomlin, his career record, 117 wins, 61 losses and 1 tie. His playoff record is 8-7. He has a Super Bowl as well. He's the second Steeler coach to win 22 games in his first 2 seasons. But mainstream says he's on the hot seat. And Gruden, if you just Google it, his real record, 78 wins, 84 losses. What's that equal? $100 million, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess the hot seat is making the playoffs every year when you're a minority coach, Charlton. Every year, that's the neighborhood that you live in, called playoffs.
Yeah.
John Gruden, this quarterback whisperer. He's tuteless all these quarterbacks. No, he has a show. That's not tutoring any quarterback. That's a scripted show. That's like watching the Real Housewives or the Kardashians.
Hey, I watch that every now and then. Don't talk about the Kardashians. I like that show, Big C.
Okay, my daughter tells me about it, so I guess you need to sit together.
I think I saw your dog. I think I saw your dog on the show, Big C.
Well, when you look at that, we talked earlier last week, Charlton, about Steve Clarkson.
Yeah.
Who has tutored more NFL quarterbacks than any quarterback coach out there, Charlton.
Yeah.
Steve Clarkson, Google him. He was from San Jose State, played there back in the 80s, I believe.
Yeah.
Can't get a job in the NFL as an offensive coordinator, offensive coach, offensive coordinator, nothing, Charlton. Can't get a job. But he has more quarterbacks that have been to his camps in the NFL than anybody else out there, Charlton, coaching quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But John Gruden was this genius. And now he has one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL and cannot win. He cannot coach a team. So when you talk about losing the locker room, You lost the locker room when you got rid of the best player on your team.
And then said you didn't know that he left.
You lost the locker room when you got rid of 23 players, or 28 players that were on the team the previous year.
Yeah.
They were an integral part of that organization for the past couple of years, Charlton.
Yep.
That's when you lost the locker room because people started looking at you and saying, what are you doing?
Yep.
This guy, we need this guy to win.
Yep.
That's what the player mentality is. When the players are questioning you, that's when you lose the locker room. People want to question Mike Tomlin. What has he lost in Pittsburgh because you got a player holding out Le'Veon Bell? Think about this when you look at the two players.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Steelers keep saying, we want Le'Veon Bell here.
Yeah.
We're putting money on the table for him. He's the one choosing not to show up. Mike Tomlin doesn't make that decision.
Yep.
Khalil Mack said, I want to get paid like the player that I am.
Yeah.
John Gruden said he wasn't worth it.
Yep.
Trade him. Get rid of him. We don't need him. Think about that. That's losing the locker room. When the players in the locker room are looking at you and saying, we need this guy to win.
Yeah.
And you're saying, no, you don't, because I'm here.
Yep.
I'll teach you how to win. I'll go out and take the snaps. I'll go rush the quarterback. I'll do that. I'll stop the run.
Yep.
That's what I'll do. So when you talk about losing the locker room, what Mike Tomlin did was went forward with the players that he had.
Yeah.
They were on the rosters. He didn't cut key players.
No.
He didn't cut starters. He hasn't traded Le'Veon Bell. He hasn't said at one point Le'Veon Bell doesn't need to be here.
No, he hasn't.
He said, we'll figure that out when he gets here. That's the professional approach. He's not sitting up there talking about hindsight, as John Gruden is. Well, it's hindsight. You always going to be second guess when you make a move. Because you knew you made a stupid move.
Yeah.
So now you're going to say, well, it's hindsight. No, it wasn't hindsight. You might have been looking at your hindsight in the mirror, and you couldn't tell it from your face because you were being a butt about the situation.
But mainstream won't hold him accountable to it.
You can't sit there and compare these guys. Mike Tomlin has personified what winning is about. The third winningest coach in the NFL, Charlton, since he's been there.
Yeah.
Only Andy Reid and Belichick has won more.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
The only two that have won more. And Andy Reid hasn't won a Super Bowl, but Mike Tomlin has.
Sure has. That's just the fact.
But you're going to bring a guy in off the bench and say that he's better than the kid that always wins for you.
Yeah.
And keeps the team together through everything, Charlton. Let me take a bet on this right now, Charlton. I'm going to wager a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
I bet you that the Pittsburgh Steelers make the playoffs and the Oakland Raiders don't.
That might be a good bet. In the next 15 minutes, Big C, let's run down the NFL. The Ravens 2-1 at the Steelers 1-1. That game is a Sunday Eastern Time 8:20 kickoff, NBC Sports. The Steelers are favored by 3. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, this has always been a physical battle. Everybody's known how great the Ravens defense has been over the years. The question mark has always been Joe Flacco. They went out and got him some receivers this year, Charlton. He looked great in the first opening game of the season, Charlton, but he hasn't had that consistency that you thought he was going to maintain after that first game. When you look at Pittsburgh offensively, Ben Roethlisberger's numbers have been outstanding. Realistically, they have.
Yep.
You know, the defense has struggled somewhat. They're not the defense they were when Ryan Shazier was there, Charlton.
No.
And people don't realize how integral one player is. You know, it's like in Dallas when they lose Sean Lee, the quarterback.
Yeah.
They become a totally different defense.
Yeah.
But when you look at Pittsburgh without Shazier, they're still making that adjustment, Charlton, trying to find the right combination. I do like Pittsburgh in this game, especially after that offensive performance that Ben had last week.
When we look at the Saints 2-1 at the Giants 1-2, that game is Sunday, a 4:25 Eastern Time kickoff on CBS Sports, and the Saints go marching in, favored by 3. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, you look at Drew Brees. He's completing 80% of his passes on the season, Charles. You think about that. 3 games into the NFL, even 1 game, and you're completing 80% of your passes against NFL defenses. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And this guy is 40 years old, Charles. He's not a spring buck, but you can't tell it by the way that he plays.
No, he's amazing.
Nobody can cover Michael Thomas. And right now, we talk about the Giants. You look at all the pressure that the Saints put on Matt Ryan last week in Atlanta, Charlton.
Yeah.
And he has a little bit more mobility than Eli and a quicker release. And the receiving core is equal.
Yep.
I see them getting after Eli Manning, Charlton, and Drew Brees. I don't see the answer for him.
Nah, he's amazing. When we think about the answer, the 49ers 1-2 at the Chargers 1-2. That game is Sunday on CBS Sports, 4:25 kickoff, and the Chargers are favored by 10. Want to get your thoughts? I know there's no Garoppolo, but the 49ers put a lot of money behind one person who still does not have a playoff game under his belt, and unfortunately he's injured. But will he try to give some of that money back to show how much love he has for the team that had love for him? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you're paying a player $47 million out of your salary cap, that doesn't leave you much wiggle room to bring anybody else in.
No.
That's where you're sitting at if you're the 49ers right now. So when people say, why don't the 49ers pick up certain players, they don't have the money to pay anybody because the guy that's going to be holding the clipboard is getting $47 million out of the salary cap.
Yeah.
And I believe the salary cap is about $73 million this season.
Yeah, he could get it.
He's getting $47 million of it. So don't expect much from the 49ers. You have to ask yourself going into this game, Charlton, is C.J. Beathard a better quarterback than Phillip Rivers?
That's a good.
If he's not, there's no chance.
That's a good point, Big C. The Seahawks 1-2 at the Cardinals, also 0-3. 4:05 Eastern Time kickoff Sunday on Fox Sports, and the Seahawks are favored by 3 down in the desert. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, you're getting another one of those heralded rookies starting at quarterback down in Arizona. You're going to get your boy from down there at your alma mater, UCLA, I believe it is, where your brother Chip Kelly is working.
Chip Kelly.
You know,
UCLA.
Josh Rosen is going to be throwing the ball against Seattle.
Yeah.
This is one of those equal battles for Seattle, Charlton. You know, Arizona does have a pass rush, and that's the problem that Seattle has had all year long.
Yeah.
But they got over the hump possibly last week with that home victory against the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at the offensive struggles that Dallas had against that Seattle defense, you're going to expect the same thing from Arizona in that defense.
Big C, yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I hope that they can find a way to make that game competitive because it's bad when a team doesn't even look like they're trying when you look at Arizona. The Bengals, the surprise team, 2-1. Not a surprise to you, 2-1 versus the Falcons, 1-2. I know the Falcons are a much more ballyhooed team. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff Sunday on CBS Sports, and the Falcons are actually favored by 4. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the Falcons, demonstrated some struggles last week, Charlton, against the Saints in that conference loss that they had. You got to understand that, Marvin Lewis, a great defensive mind, is going to take that same defensive scheme that the Saints employed and utilize it against the Falcons also.
Yeah.
Now, the Falcons have lost some key defensive players, Charlton. They lost 2 more in this last game.
Yeah.
Will that be enough for Big Red, Andy Dalton, and A.J. Green to get over the hump? And they're going to have Joe Mixon back in the backfield, and Freeman will still not be back in the backfield for the Falcons, Charlton.
Yeah, they're going to need everybody healthy for that game. The Buccaneers 2-1 at the Bears 2-1. A 1 o'clock kickoff Sunday, Fox Sports. The Bears are favored by 3 at Soldier Field. You know their defense can bring it, Big C. Your thoughts?
Charlton, I look at this Bears quartet of linebackers. This is the best linebacking core that I've seen in the NFL since in the 80s with the New Orleans Saints when they were led by Jim Mills, Patrick Swilling, Ron Johnson.
Yep.
That crew, Charlton. The Bears remind me of that. You talk about athletic, talented, and size and speed. They have it all.
Yeah.
They have it all on defense. Their defense right now, Charlton, is one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL. But with that, Charlton, where's their offense? Their offense still struggles to score points.
Yep.
You got to realize the position that their defense put them in last week against the Arizona Cardinals. That was a very lackluster offense in Arizona.
Yeah.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, every game, he's throwing for 400 yards. I like resurgence of the Buccaneers because they should have lost to Pittsburgh last week.
Yeah, they should really be undefeated. The Lions 1-2 at the Cowboys 1-2. That's a 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff Sunday on Fox Sports. The Cowboys are favored by 3. How good would Troy Aikman be if he were playing quarterback for this Dallas Cowboy team that really doesn't have any receivers? And how great would Prescott be if he had Michael Irvin, Novacek, and Harper to throw through it? Emmitt Smith in the backfield back in the day. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I think Jerry Jones got a shipment of the moonshine in because he said the Dallas Cowboys offense reminds him of the Los Angeles Ram offense. And, a couple things ran across my mind when you said that. Okay,
yeah.
They do have some blue in their uniform.
Yep.
And they both start 11 players.
Yeah.
So I guess there was some resemblance there. When you talk about Troy as a rookie, Charlton, was 1-15 as a starter in the NFL. He took his lumps.
Yep.
Whole lot of lumps.
Yep.
But what did Jimmy Johnson do, Charlton? He put the players around Troy Aikman to make him better.
Yeah.
When Troy Aikman showed up in Dallas, they didn't have Michael Irvin.
No.
They didn't. They didn't have Emmitt Smith. They didn't have Alvin Harper.
No.
They didn't have Jay Novacek. They had an offensive line, Charlton, that he put together. but he realized that he needed those weapons.
Yep.
When Jerry Jones is saying things, and anybody out there, who does Dallas Cowboys have that can go more than 40 yards down the field? When they brought in Trayvon Austin 2 weeks ago, Charlton, first time he touched the ball, he scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Did they do anything else to get him open in that game? No.
No.
Second game he played in, Charlton, he touched the football, scored a touchdown. Did they do anything else matter against Seattle to get him in the end zone? No.
No.
So when you sit there and say all these proponents out there talking about Dak Prescott is struggling, he's not being productive, give him the tools that any other quarterback his age in the NFL is utilizing. Give him Jared Goff's tools.
Yeah.
Give him Carson Wentz's tools. Give him Derek Carr's tools, Charlton. Give him the tools of the quarterbacks that are his age in the NFL and having success. You look at all those quarterbacks, Charlton, the thing that they have in common that Dak Prescott doesn't have, Charlton, is that they have wide receivers and a tight end.
Yeah.
No one knows who the starting tight end is in Dallas, Charlton. Think about that. No one knows who it is. And the one receiver you can name, Cole Beasley, you know, Dak Prescott can outrun him. He's a quarterback.
That sounds funny. 6 more games in the 10-minute stretch, Big C. The Buffalo Bills 1-2 at the Green Bay Packers 1-1. That's a 1 p.m. kickoff Sunday on CBS Sports. And the Packers are favored by 10. I think that's a game the Packers win, but I don't know if they'll get by 10, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, what you saw in Minnesota last week was an anomaly. It was, you know, that comes along. That's like a tsunami. It comes every now and then. It's not a consistent thing.
Yeah.
It was a perfect storm for the Buffalo Bills, Charlton. They got the turnovers against your cousin. He gave up the ball.
He's not
freely.
my cousin.
Oh, okay. He gave up the ball freely to this Buffalo defense, Charlton.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers is not looking to hold the football, Charlton. 2.2 seconds, the ball is out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. He is not going to try to run. He is not going to hold it. He will get rid of it. I don't think that the Buffalo Bills can cover anybody that quickly, Charlton, not to allow his receivers to get open.
Well, I hope Aaron can stay healthy in that game. The Texans, them good old boys from Texas, Buford T. Justice territory, 0-3 at the Colts, 1-2. That's a 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff Sunday on CBS Sports. And them good old boy Colts are favored by 2, only 2 points at home against a winless team. It kind of reminds me of Ben Raines when he said, your blankety blank goes down in the 4th round. That stinking sensation you feeling, that's pride blanking with you. Pride, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is a game that's sorely needed by the Texans when you think about it.
Yeah.
Andrew Luck is not putting any pressure on anybody's defense, Charlton. He has no velocity on his football, and that's the thing that I don't understand what defensive coordinators have not picked up in his return this year in the NFL. You play press coverage all the time against the coach because he's not going to outthrow anybody, Charlton. And you make your defensive back make plays. Houston has to find a pass rush.
Yep.
You know that the Colts don't have a running game. They're relying on Andrew Luck, Charlton. He's throwing the ball 40 times a game.
That's a lot.
And with a winded wing, Charlton. So they have to put a pass rush on him, play a lot of press coverage, Charlton, force him to squeeze the ball in the tight spots.
Yep.
Deshaun Watson needs to be a little more diligent with the football this week, Charlton.
Big C, what do you good old boys do down south when you see a Colt with a wounded wing, Big C?
We ain't calling him home, Charlton, for a little home cooking and, a warm meal. That's what we do.
Yeah. Big C, the Eagles, speaking of wounded wings, hopefully they'll be on track. They're 2-1 at the Titans, 2-1. A 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff Sunday on CBS Sports. And the Eagles with the wounded wing are favored by 3, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, they got Carson Wentz back, Charlton. When you look at Tennessee, they knocked off the Jaguars last week, and everyone had the Jaguars going undefeated on the season except for Tennessee and Mike Vrabel. They walked in there and they played defense, and you think about it, you held the Jaguars without a touchdown. They also held Tennessee without a touchdown. That defense is intact. But can Carson Wentz carve up that defense this week, Charlton?
Well, that'll be something we'll see. The Jets, the Jets, Jets. What happened when the Jet runs out of fuel, Big C? The Jets are 1-2 of the season at the Jaguars, 2-1. A 1 p.m. kickoff Sunday on Fox Sports. And the Jaguars are favored by Sam Darnold and the Jets, Big C. Your thoughts, 7.5.
Well, you know, if Sam Darnold hasn't been under pressure yet this year, Charlton, he will be. We saw the relentless pressure that the Cleveland Browns put on him a week and a half ago in a Thursday night game, Charlton. He had a hard time deciphering what was going on defensively.
Yeah.
You're going to expect the same thing from Jacksonville. You know, when you got off to that first game, nobody had tape on him, Charlton. But this is a game that's really equally quarterback because Blake Bortles is not going to blow anybody away. I think he ran out of gas also. So it's going to be the team that can control the ball in this game, Charlton, on the ground, more so than the passing.
Big C, 2 more games. It's really important on the East Coast. I mean, this is the opposite universe. The Dolphins are 3-0. The Patriots are 1-2. That game is Sunday on CBS Sports, a 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff, and the Patriots are favored by 6. But they look like they run out a little bit of gas the last couple of games. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you got to admire the job that Adam Gates is doing down in Miami, Charlton, and having the return of Ryan Tannehill. People forget Ryan Tannehill is 10-11 in his last 11 games as a starter for the Dolphins. He missed all of last year when your friend Kirk.
You call my friend or my cousin. Which one is he now? That's how rumors get started.
We're talking about your friend Jimmy Cutler.
Okay.
Who took $10 million to go out and masquerade. He thought it was Halloween.
Okay.
He masqueraded all season long as a quarterback in the NFL.
Okay.
For $10 million, you can buy a heck of a costume. That's what he did. But Ryan Tannehill, who was the number 1 draft pick of the Dolphins several years ago, Charlton, has developed under Adam Gates at quarterback.
Yeah.
He's really gotten a grasp of things. Now, you think about New England and your buddy Bill Belichick said, well, nobody's qualified for the playoffs. Nobody's been eliminated.
Yeah.
That's what he said. They don't panic in New England, Charlton. You got to understand, you win 10 games in the AFC East. You're in the playoffs. Yeah. That's all you got to do is win 10 games.
Yep.
They've lost 2 games, Charlton. They're 1-2. They're not out of the playoffs. Even if they go 1-3, they're not out of the playoffs.
No.
But if they don't go 1-3 and they win this game, who's more nervous? Miami. Because all of a sudden the Patriots team that looked like they were there came in and knocked them off and they were undefeated.
Yeah, that's something you got to pay attention to, especially for people who say Brady's over the hill. I don't think it's over the hill. I'm telling you, when you look at who's going to win the AFC West, Monday Night Football, the Chiefs 3-0. At the Broncos, 2-1, 8:15 kickoff Eastern Time Monday on ESPN, and the Chiefs are favored by 3. That's Mahomes versus that Von Miller, that defense. Great seeing who wins, the stud on offense or the stud on defense. Kansas City can score on anybody, but they will be about a mile high trying to do it. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, that means that ball will carry.
Yeah.
That Mahomes can throw. Not that he needs any help even down the field, Charlton. But, Tyreek Hill, if he gets any faster, he's going to run out of his shoes. And then you look at the rest of that receiver core that they have.
Yeah.
I don't think that Denver has an answer defensively for what Kansas City does offensively. They have a great defense, Charlton. But the offense is not as balanced as Kansas City's is. The thing about, as much as we rave about Kansas City right now, Charlton, what really hasn't taken place with the team offensively?
What's that?
Kareem Hunt hasn't gotten on track. He hasn't had one 100-yard rushing game yet, Charlton. This is one of those games because Denver will be selling out on defense.
Yeah.
Look for Kareem Hunt to get a lot of action in this game, Charlton. And also, Denver lost last week. Case Keenum suffered his first loss in Denver. Can he recover from that?
Can he recover from that? We've seen a lot of things happen in the world of the sports universe, from Washington, all the things going on in Washington. Also, high school football, Big C's Friday Night Lights. College football, a lot of good games tipping off and kicking off this weekend. And, of course, we love the NFL. In the final few seconds, Big C, we'll talk about Major League Baseball. This is the last week of the regular season for 2018. There are a lot of teams that are playing right down to the final pitch, determining if they will get into the playoffs. In the American League East, you're looking at Boston and New York. In the Central, Cleveland and Minnesota. In the West, you're looking at Houston and Oakland. In the National League, you're looking at Atlanta and Washington, Chicago, Milwaukee, and in the West, Colorado and the Dodgers. Big C, your thoughts on the final weekend of Major League Baseball regular season?
Well, Charlton, is always interesting, and the thing about what's great about this is that there's meaningful games in the final weekend of the Major League season, Charlton. There's still 3 games left to determine what's going to go on for our playoff seeding.
Yeah.
That's what's exciting. That's what brings fans to the ballparks. That's what brings out that youthful enthusiasm in the players, Charlton, to know that every game counts. People talk about, well, the games early in the season don't count. They do because they put you in position for the games at this time of the year, Charlton.
Yeah.
And when you play the game to win, as Herm Edwards would always say, you play to win.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm appreciating about this hunt for the playoffs, Charlton, is that you still have a couple of positions yet to be determined. And no team has given up that has a chance to make it.
Well, I understand that. It's all fair in love and war. We love the sports universe. We love telling people to read If you can't read, Google Big C. Back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Charlton, that was a situation yesterday in the Yankees game where CC Sabathia was ejected from the game in the 5th inning. CC Sabathia, the pitcher, Charlton, needed to pitch 2 more innings to have a $500,000 bonus kick in.
Wow.
He had a teammate that was hit by an opposing pitcher, and the unwritten rule in baseball is that you retaliate as a pitcher.
Yeah.
He went out there and retaliated, Charlton, and possibly forfeited a $500,000 bonus.
Wow.
I think the proper thing would be is on Sunday, Charlton, is that the Yankees put CC out there for 2 innings in the game. Even though it's a meaningless game, the Yankees are in the playoffs, Charlton.
Yeah.
And let him pick up that $500,000 bonus, Charlton. Have some class.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they put $2 million on the pitch amount, I'd pick up the $2 million, Big C, and you can pick it up too every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.